And this is the second session of the summer school for you guys. What we're going to be working on today is more CAD skills, so more using Fusion 360 and developing your CAD skills. What I wanted to work on today was something that most people won't have had that much experience of doing. Now, the good thing about Fusion 360, as opposed to quite a lot of other CAD softwares that you might have had experience with or you've seen in the past, they allows you to create quite sort of organic forms, so sort of quite rounded forms. And most the CAD software that I've used before, Fusion 360, it was very much sort of draw a shape, extrude a shape, and it becomes quite geometric. Okay, now the good thing about this is it doesn't restrict you in terms of creating quite organic shapes, things that look a little bit more sort of designed as you would normally start with a pencil and a pen. You're not restricted with just sort of drawing squares, boxes, cubes, and those sort of things. So sculpting is a really powerful tool, and it's another part of Fusion 360 that you need to get to grips with. So what we're going to be doing today sort of fits in quite nicely with one of the projects we do at school with the Year 9s, designing some headphones. Yours don't have to look like this, but if you want to, you can just copy it word for word, or you can manipulate the images. This is more about learning some skills. So you're going to be learning about sculpting today. We're going to sculpt all of these shapes. You're also going to be learning about duplicating parts across a mirror, so across a line of symmetry. So as you can see with headphones, they are symmetrical, both sides are the same. So you're only going to have to draw one of those, and then you're going to learn about how to use the line of symmetry to replicate it. You're also going to learn about bridging. Okay, so bridging is where you take two objects and then you draw something in between. So a headphone is a really good example of where you can use the bridging tool to create the sort of headband that bridges between the two ear the speakers there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this video again. It's one of the an excellent video from Product Design Online. If these 3 sessions have inspired you to do anything to improve your CAD skills, I'd recommend just going on there and doing some tutorials. I've been doing quite a few doing home learning to improve my CAD skills, and the whole point of these 3 sessions is to sort of give you and point you in those directions. I'm not going to be able to teach you everything you need to learn about Fusion 360 and CAD, but it might be a starting point of some different skills that we haven't been teaching you in school. Okay, so I'm going to play the video for you now, and then once it's done, I would like you to upload a screenshot or a render, preferably, of your final design.
Now this video is based off an older video that Kaching had done for the Fusion 360 YouTube channel. But that video is from 2013 and it's quite outdated, and there's been a ton of changes to Fusion since, so I figured I'd go ahead and make a newer version. So to get started, we're going to create a box in the sculpting mode. Now you'll see once you create a form here that the little panel pops up on the side for the box dimensions and everything else there. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug in 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And you can also see that we can change the number of faces there. But I'm going to show you guys a different way to do this later on. Now, to start off, I'm going to model the earmuff of the headphone, because when you look at headphones, like a lot of objects, it's symmetrical. So what we're going to do is create one side, and then we're going to go ahead and mirror it and then connect the two. Now, the last thing we want to select here in our box is we want to make sure that we select mirror. That's just going to help us out when we create our earmuff. So now we want to look at the front view, and then we're going to go ahead and double click on the center line to highlight all the way around. And then we're going to right click and hit edit form. Now the edit form feature is what we're going to use a ton in this video, and you're always going to use it a lot in the sculpting mode. So once we edit the form here, you'll see that we have some different icons. Now, all of these icons will push or pull or kind of morph the shape in a different way. So we're going to use the one in the upper right-hand corner, the little curved arc there. And while we drag that, we're going to go ahead and hold down the Option or Alt key. Now, what that's going to do is going to make sure that the entire shape kind of stays uniform. So if you watch as I drag this out, it's going to start to be curved on each side. Now we kind of have a circle shape here. Now you can go back and forth and kind of re-edit these until you get that perfect shape that you're looking for. So now I'm going to view this earmuff from the backside, and I'm going to go ahead and start to create some more faces here. First thing I need to do is select the 4 faces and then edit form. And now we're going to go ahead and hold the option key down while we drag the center icon there. So it's the little dot, and when you hover over it, it should have 3 triangles next to it. Now what that icon does is it creates more faces for us. I'm going to drag that center arrow outward while also holding down Option or Alt there, and you'll see the bulge will start to come out. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do this one more time and kind of play around with this shape until I like it. And I'm going to create an inward bulge just to kind of give it some character and create my own headphones here. As you follow along this tutorial, feel free, and I actually encourage you to kind of create your own shape and really play around with the shapes here and create your own style. So now that we have the outside of the earmuff pretty much done, we want to go ahead and create the inside, so the part that's actually going to go over the ear. So if we flip around to the other side, I'm going to once again select all 4 of these main faces here, and then I'm going to edit form and hold down the Option key, and I'm going to drag my mouse until the faces go inward. And now once again, I'm going to grab that arrow there, and this time I'm going to create a bulge in, and I'm just going to play around with it until it looks like a shape that I want. Now I want to create a little bulge to kind of separate the soft earmuff part to the hard plastic. So what I'm going to do is hold down Shift and double click on that center line there, and you'll see that it highlighted it all the way around. Now I want to right click, and then I'm going to hit Insert Edge. So you'll see now there's a whole nother line there, and I'm going to drag that just a little bit in front of the other line. Now if I click on one panel there, and then I hold down Shift and double click on the second, what that will do is highlight the whole entire circle there. Then I can go to Edit Form, and once again, I'm just going to kind of manipulate this, and I'm going to drag out that middle icon there until I get a shape that's kind of bulged out. Now the last thing that we need to do on the earmuff before we go ahead and copy it is we need to create the beginning of the headband. So what I'm going to do is select the top 2 faces here, and then I'm going to edit form, and then I'm going to create a couple more faces smaller, and then I'm going to go ahead and stretch that upward. Now you'll see here the first time that I stretched this upward, it seemed a little bit too thick, and I didn't really like where it was going, so I went ahead and undid that and kind of brought the face in a little bit more and then re-stretched it up. Now that we have our one earmuff done, we need to go ahead and copy this to create the second one. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the whole entire object by selecting over it with the mouse, and then we're going to right click and we're going to go to Move/Copy. Now I'm just going to drag this over a few inches, or you can also type in the distance here. And the reason we're doing this is because when we first created this object, it was at our center origin. So we want to move it over so when we mirror the object, they're separated. So now with my object highlighted, I want to go to Symmetry, and then you'll see under the list there, there's going to be an option to Mirror/Duplicate. So if I go ahead and select that, you'll see that it brings up a dialog box. Now the next thing we need to do is click on that icon for the mirror plane and then choose the mirror plane here. Now, just looking at this real quick, I can already tell that the headphones seem to be way too close together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to go ahead and move the first earmuff over a little bit more, and then I'm going to go ahead and recopy that over. So now that I have the earmuffs kind of in a position that looks good, what we need to do next is go ahead and create a 3-point arc that our band is going to follow. And I'm just going to draw it on this front plane here. I'm just going to kind of guess here about the position that I'd like the headband to be, because we can change this later on. So once you have the arc done, you want to hit Stop Sketch. So whenever you select the bridge function here, it's going to first ask you to select side 1. So what we want to do is select all of the faces on side 1 that we want to bridge. So I'm just going to select these top two faces here, and then I'm going to select the other side, and then we're going to select the curve under the follow curve function there. Now you'll see that we can't really see anything yet, and if I check preview, it'll kind of give me a good preview of what's going to happen. So sometimes this happens, the curve will kind of follow opposite. So you can either drag it around or you can just hit flip curve there. And if I hit OK, just like that, you'll see that now we kind of have a basic pair of headphones here. Now, the cool thing is, this is where you can really get stylized and kind of play around with the shape and create your own unique set of headphones. So I'm just going to kind of start manipulating the headband here with a lot of the same kind of features that I've shown you already. So I'm just going to kind of select different faces and drag and kind of push and pull them in different ways. So after I kind of get the shape to a position that I kind of like it, what I like to do is kind of drag and drop some quick colors and or materials on it. It's just going to give you a little bit better of an idea of what it's going to look like. And it may give you some ideas of what you can go back and kind of change or rework. So what I'm going to do is hold down Shift and select all of these soft parts of the earmuffs here. And then I'm going to right click and go to Appearance. And then I'm just going to kind of find some sort of cloth that I think would look good. So I kind of like this weathered leather look here. I'm going to drag that over. Now it looks way too big, the texture does, so I'm going to double click on that and kind of scale it down and tweak these until it looks a little bit better. Now for the headband, I want to do some sort of polished or kind of shiny plastic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and just play around with some different colors here and see what I like. And just like that, in about 10 minutes, we have a cool kind of unique set of headphones here and a great way to kind of experiment with Fusion 360's modeling form.
Okay, so that is the video of how to do how to sculpt. So there's a bit of an introduction into that. So obviously you can pause it, you can slow it down if you want to do it again. I'm looking forward to seeing some of your outcomes. Today's session has been all about sort of an introduction or maybe a development of your sculpting skills, depending on where you are with the sort of sculpting skills that you need to have with learning Fusion 360. What we're trying to do, as I said before the video, is we're trying to develop your skills with things that push it a little bit further, so you're not limited by your knowledge of CAD. Your idea is not limited by your knowledge of CAD. Okay, the worst thing as a designer is I've got this really fantastic idea in my mind, but I can't realize it on CAD because my skills aren't as good as they perhaps could be. The beauty of this is what we could do now is save this as an STL, and we could 3D print it, and then we could scale it down or keep it the same size. We had a big enough 3D printer, and you can print this straight away, or you could print part of it straight away if we split it, things like that. Okay, so I hope you found today's session useful. There's going to be one more session later on, developing CAD skills further out of the 3 sessions that we're doing during summer school to hopefully improve your CAD skills. Okay, it's another good way of modeling. If you can create your shape, we can then 3D print it out, test parts of it, see how it's going to look. And things like that. So if you can get used to sculpting and modeling, it'll be a really good skill for when we start development when you get back after the summer break. Thank you for listening, and I hope you found this useful.